Hello everyone, today I will be talking about the cars I've driven. Everything stated in this video is just my subjective opinion. Let's move on to the first entry. Number 1, 2017 Hyundai Tucson. I drove this a few years ago. Growing up, I was never a fan of Hyundais and Kias, especially since they had a bad reputation before the late 2010s. I didn't respect those brands until I drove the Hyundai Tucson, as well as a Kia a week later, which will be mentioned in part 2 of this video. The Hyundai Tucson impressed me because of its smooth ride. It offered a great punch with acceleration and the handling was decent. I've definitely driven cars that handled better. However, this car drives great for a daily driver. Not only did it make me understand why people like Hyundai, but it also made me understand why so many people drive crossovers. Great car. I will give it a 7.7 out of 10. Number 2, the 2020 Toyota Sienna. The Toyota Sienna is one of the only few minivans being sold in North America. Despite the segment being less popular than it was back then due to the rise of crossovers and SUVs, Toyota still offers the Sienna. I drove one a few years back and unfortunately, it was not the best car I've driven. Nowhere near the best. I didn't like the handling or the acceleration or anything about its driving for that matter. However, there's nothing really wrong with that. At the end of the day, it is just a minivan. It does its job with flying colors. At this point, Toyota being reliable is common knowledge, even for people who know nothing about cars. It is a great option if you're in the market. I will give it a 4 out of 10 purely based on how I felt driving it, but with that being said, it is still a great vehicle. Number 3, 2024 Ford Escape. I drove this very recently. The Ford Escape is a nice SUV. I think Ford has a great SUV lineup, and I will cover 2 more Ford SUVs in this series, with one of them being the last entry of this video. Even though I prefer those 2 SUVs over the Escape still drove well. I liked the handling. Acceleration was way quicker than I thought it would be. The acceleration did feel a little bit laggy, since it would take a second to actually go up when you floored the pedal. However, it probably just felt laggy for me since at the moment I'm mostly used to driving electric vehicles with instant torque. Still, it drove well. I will give it a 7.4 out of 10. Number 4, 5th generation Honda Odyssey. The reason why I didn't mention the year is because I've driven every version of the 5th generation Odyssey. I've driven a 2018 model, as well as a 2022 and 2025 model. There is even a video of me reviewing the 2022 facelift on this channel. I wanted to talk about all of them in one entry since they have the same engine. As far as I know, the only difference is that the 2018 I drove was a 9-speed, whereas the other 2 were 10 speeds. I'm referring to transmission, by the way. All of these vehicles were great. For a minivan, the Odyssey drives really well. While the Toyota Sienna currently offers great fuel efficiency, the Odyssey is a sportier entry into the North American minivan market. I'll give it a 7.7 out of 10. Now on to the last entry of the list. At number 5, we have the 2024 Ford Mustang Mach-E. This is one of the best cars I've driven. I had a great experience with it the first time I test drove a Mach-E at the dealership, and it was one of the most thrilling and exciting moments I've ever had in my life. I'm even lucky enough to drive it as a daily driver. It has great handling and acceleration. What I love about it is that even though the vehicle can be extremely quick in unbridled mode, which is basically sport mode, there's a nice duality with the opposite, which is Whisper. Whisper does not give you whiplash. It's a nice, comfy mode that isn't too slow. It's great for drives during the night. Unfortunately, there is a lot of controversy due to it being called a Mustang, but I do wish people can see past that and realize that it is a great vehicle. I've had an amazing experience with it so far. I will give it a 9.4 out of 10. Hello everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys are interested, there will be a part 2 of this video coming very soon. Thank you for watching, have a great day.